Hello, and thank you for tuning into my presentation. Um, this will be both an overview of my project, but also a pitch to hopefully get more people to contribute to the space that I've created here. And so for the moment, I've been calling it the Public Scholar. Coming up with the name was quite difficult, but I think this is growing on me, so it'll probably stay. Anyways, the Public Scholar is a digital space mainly for TC&J undergraduates studying something within the humanities, though not limited to it. We would, of course, love to hear other voices from our peers and colleagues in STEM as well. And so the main issue that this blog seeks to address is this need for public scholarship. And so while there are an abundance of academic journals for professionals in the humanities and other fields to publish their research in, the gatekeepers of these journals, whether consciously or otherwise, often exclude, marginally include, or tokenize Black, Indigenous, Latinx, Asian, and other scholars of color. This has been a particularly big issue in classical studies too. Furthermore, academic journals simply operate far too slowly to keep up with current events in the art and intersected world. And I think that that is sort of the basis for my little slogan up here, capturing the moment, writing the movement. I thought it addressed that in some short few words here. um, Anyways, many scholars, including an art historian, Dr. Sarah Bond, Dr. Curtis Dozier, who is over at Vassar College, and Dr. Tim Whitmarsh, who is a professor of classical studies at the University of Cambridge. They have all taken to their own personal blogs to address issues and topics that simply can't wait months to be published or rely on these so-called gatekeepers to allow their ideas to be published. And so the mission, if I've said this before, I apologize, but the mission is that this website is really just dedicated to making art historical discourse accessible. We need to also amplify historically marginalized voices and lend undergraduates a platform to speak. Also included here is a page that provides resources and other reference materials aimed at instructors and students of all kinds in order to encourage the construction and hopefully the employment of what I've been calling decolonized syllabi. So in light of the summers and ongoing events, there is a growing need for public scholarship that both addresses and helps students and general audiences to navigate complex topics like institutional racism, critical whiteness studies, colonialism, etc. History does not disclose itself to us decades later. It's unfolding before us regardless of how or even if we understand what has occurred. And so similarly to how our brains are processing the constant signals that are being sent to us from our eyes, we need to be able to do that with the daily happenings of our own world that contextualizes current events into intelligible stories. And so I wanted to especially thank Dr. Hutton for believing in this idea and for lending a platform for other undergraduates and colleagues to speak. She truly does believe more accessible art history, and I'm hoping that this project, whatever the size may be, contributes to that goal in some ways. And so now I will stop my long rant and I will take you through this blog a little bit. And so here I have the main page, which is the blog, as I've been saying a lot. This is my first or second post, actually, and I've called it I Hate Art History, 5 Reasons and Recommendations for Change. And it is aimed well, it's based on ideas and experiences that I've had as an art history major at TCNJ, but I've shifted it so that it could be applied to many art history programs across the country. So that's this first article. And then continuing, there's another post this post I wrote, I believe, I think 2 years ago, and it is about the restoration of Notre Dame. And I will also be adding a book review before I submit this as my final project as well. The next page here is the resources and reference materials, and I have added a short letter, I suppose, directed at the reader to consider the things that I've listed below. And so I have general web sources, all of which are hyperlinked for easy access, different books for thinking. The whole goal of this is really to encourage readers to read widely and to just recognize that there's theory everywhere, there's nuance, and we need to be including other voices, even if they don't necessarily pertain to our own disciplines. And so here's all the books. And I should also note that this page will be constantly updated by me as I discover new sources. Everything on here I've personally looked at and read entirely, if not at least very thoroughly. I thought that that was really important for integrity purposes. I didn't want to be recommending readings or resources that seemed to be relevant or seemed to promote a decolonized approach to education, but may not necessarily have been so. So everything here I've personally taken a look at. Here are other articles and blog posts that I've spotlighted, as well as podcasts, which too are all hyperlinked. And then there is a brief about page, which is quite similar to what I just read before, and also a contact page with a Gmail account that is fully functional. I've set that up. The reason for the Gmail account is that I've disabled all commenting access in order to protect TCNJ students and any professors that contribute. Unfortunately, with a lot of other blogs, the authors have received much cyberbullying. And in order to both protect students and to not give white supremacists and other hate groups a place to share their rhetoric, I've disabled that function. However, if somebody does have a legitimate concern or question or comment, whatever it may be, there is a way to reach out to us. So if the motivation is there in the commenter, they can certainly reach out through this email. And that is really about it. I am really grateful for your time. Thank you for considering this project, and I do hope to one day see this be transferred from Weebly to a more permanent and hopefully professional platform. So thank you again for your time. Have a nice night or day.